these seniors left it better than they found it, and we should be very, very proud of them. And we are. We are proud of them. We love them. We're gonna miss them. Now it's on to the next stage of their careers, right? What's going on, guys? This is your girl Jazsmin Halliburton coming at you with another episode of Run It Back on KCS. And proud of this team. Really am. Serena, Yoki, Jalen, Tamara, Kennedy, everybody. The seniors who won't be coming back. Love y'all, man. Really do. This fan base does. And man, I feel like I could speak for a lot of fans, K-State fans, that y'all deserved more as far as accolades. Y'all deserved more. They deserve to win a Big 12 championship. They deserve to at least go to the Final Four. If team was healthy all season long, who knows? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. But it was nice to see them play and play well. And play well at this level of competition on the biggest stage. The biggest stage in their sport. But damn. I'm gonna miss it, man. I'm gonna miss them. And man, I heard from him so bad. Saturday was tough, bro. Saturday was tough. My anxiety was at an all-time high the entire game. I even stopped watching the other Sweet 16 games that was on that Friday and before K-State's on Saturday because I was freaking me out too much. I'm weird. I'm a weirdo when it comes to me watching my favorite teams play. Like, I'm getting pimped up. I'm anxious the entire day. And when I'm watching, do not bother me. Don't text me. Don't call me. Don't say anything. Don't touch me. Don't do anything because I'm watching the game. And I was locked in. Not necessarily ever in a panic mode. This was a very winnable game against USC that they ended up losing. 67-61. I hate that I took this long to get to the final score, but for those who didn't know, there it is. It's tough. It's tough. We didn't get blown out. We competed. I did not expect them to get blown out whatsoever. This was a very winnable game. USC was without their super phenom, Juju Watkins. We talked about her last week and how huge she is for not only the team, USC, but literally for the entire sport, right? How just important she is. And USC was without her, and this was their first true test of how they were going to fare without her. And the players that needed to step up, they did. They did. And once it got too late, there was nothing much that K-State could do at the moment. It was very late in the game, but it's hard. Serena Sundell finishing the game to lead all scorers with 22.6 assists, 6 rebounds. She did not want to go home. That was evident. That was evident in this game. She did not want to go home. Yoki probably didn't have her standard of game like she might have wanted to for just her third game back after a very, very long hiatus because of her foot. She ended the game 12 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double in the books for her in her career at K-State, and 3 blocks. Jalen Glenn did her thing, 10 points, 2 steals. Zana Walker, super proud of her performance. Snaps to her in that game, what she was able to do defensively. It's a lot to handle with those USC guards, a lot to handle what she did defensively and offensively. 9 points, 8 rebounds. I am very proud of her. That's a good way individually to end this season because that's something that I think we all would love to see carry on into next season. What the offensive production that she was able to get in this game, right? Tamira probably didn't have the game she necessarily wanted. She finished the game 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Karen Sides was scoreless on the night. Wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Game plan was, I think, solid in my opinion. USC defensively did a very good job. K-State held 41% from the field. 31% from three was a problem. 16 turnovers was the problem. K-State only had 10 assists on the night on 23 made baskets. Normally, when you hear that stat, that's normally like 21 assists on 23 made baskets. That's the usual. That's the typical, right? And now you get to that turnover to assist ratio with 16 turnovers and 10 assists. But, I mean, it was still a solid game from them. And it was still only a 6-point loss to the number one seed in the Sweet 16. Just sometimes basketball's unfair. Really is. And I feel like what was learned in this game specifically, not all the time, but talent beat experience in this game. I think that's what it was. Now, like I said, that's not going to be every game. We understand that. But talent beat experience. USC needed somebody to step up in order to win this game. They did. I talked about Kiki Iriafin majority of the episode last week heading into this game, right? Because she was going to be that next man up. She was their number one. She was their now leading scorer after Juju Watkins went down, averaging 18 points a game, right? And she scored, I think 36 points against Mississippi State in the second round. So she was going to be their primary scorer. And K-State's game plan, I think, was really good. It was a really good game plan against USC overall, not just against Kiki, but I think overall it was a really solid game plan. But in this game, at the end of the day, talent beat experience. That's something I talked about a lot last week as well, that this was a really young team, USC, a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, not very many seniors. I want to say they had like 3 seniors overall on their roster, but that's talent. It's all talent. What ended up really giving this game to USC was the 2 freshmen that were their leading scorers for the Trojans. Kenny Smith, 19 points, 3 steals. Avery Howell, 18 points, 4 steals. Freshman on the biggest stage of their careers, probably. The biggest stage of their career, needing to really step up after following the footsteps of Juju Watkins for the entire season and needing to make something shake when you really needed it most. Talent. It was talent. K-State had the experience with the amount of games that were played in a K-State uniform for our players, but just complete raw talent in this game is what separated by 6 points. Now, granted, it's a little bit closer than that because K-State started playing the foul game a little bit later, maybe a little bit ill-advised before it got too late. We'll talk about that in a second. But that was the big eye-opener. No, that's not something unusual. I've talked about it before. There are just some teams that are just built different than the rest. And all of those teams, for the most part, are still playing right now. UConn, South Carolina, UCLA now in the mix, USC, Texas, not to be disrespectful, but I guess TCU. But now we got to see the consistency when it comes to them. These are the teams consistent, right? That's just where K-State needs to get to. And it's going to take a while to build to that level. But still on this game, right? Talent edged out experience in this one. The game plan for USC was good enough to beat 90% of teams. I really do think so. It was good enough to beat 90% of teams in the country. I truly do believe that. I do. It was a really good game plan, making sure how they're going to kind of isolate Kiki at certain points when she's far enough away from the basket, making her shoot mid-range buckets that were wide open, but she just wasn't hitting them. It wasn't her night. They were giving her that shot, right? They were playing 1v1 in the perimeter. They were kind of doing like a zone I formation read, kind of like in that area, and it was working. Like a high-powered offense like USC. Yes, I understand that there was no Juju Watkins, but holding them to 67 points. Damn it, that's good. A lot of teams would win in the regular season if they hold USC to 67 points, right? This was a damn good game plan. Kiki only had 7 points, mind you. Like I said, she scored, I think, 36 against Mississippi State. Raya Michelin, I think they're two big lineup, even though the Kiki was the power forward in this. And Rhea Marshall, she was the center. She had 10 points. A lot of these points came from the mid-range, wing wide open. Sometimes those shots just weren't falling, but they were okay with giving them those shots. And that would have essentially won them the game if it wasn't for those two freshman guards really taking advantage of the 1v1 matchups and driving into the lane. That was where K-State was playing the zone. They were playing confident. They were playing well. They were in your pocket defensively, especially in that third quarter where they were just picking off skills. They came up big. In a game that K-State could have really won. They really could have won. How they played this game, they could have won. It just wasn't in the cards. It was a bucket here, a bucket there from certain players, certain times. That's how it always is, right? Just sucks. This was not impossible, despite probably what a lot of people freaking everywhere talks about women's college basketball was thinking. I feel like K-State was disrespected this entire postseason, in my opinion. They weren't getting talked about enough. Then completely brushed aside when they finally lost. I didn't like that, and I really hope that changes in the future. But it sucks, because if they were able to win this game, that would have gotten so many people's attention that people's attention should have already been had, right? It's frustrating, but that's just how the chips fall. That really is. I hate talking about K-State losses. I really do. I hate when it comes to an end like this. It hurts. Hell, it hurts me like I'm actually out there freaking playing, knowing good and well that I'm not. I can only imagine the pain that the players felt when that final buzzer went off. It's uncomparable. It's hard. It's really hard. But we got to be proud of this team. We really do. I've talked enough already. We got to go to a quick break. So before I continue on with this game and things that were good for K-State, things that were really good for USC, we'll get to that. But first, I got to hit up homefieldapparel.com with any K-State or just university nationwide that you may need. They got the t-shirts, they got the hats, they got the hoodies, whatever you want. Homefield Apparel got it, and we'll be right back on Run It Back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win real money this March? Struggling to choose which team will pull off an upset? Forget about the teams. All you need to focus on are player stats to rack up big cash prizes with DraftKings Pick 6. And when it comes to the massive payouts, DraftKings dunks over all the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. Track your picks for a shot to win huge cash prizes. It's as simple as that. All you have to do is pick which players you think will score, rebound, get assists, and fill up the stat sheet, and you can win. It's that easy. So turn your college basketball knowledge into cash today. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly with just a $5 entry. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited, 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promo.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Still talking about the painful loss against USC. They did a good job as well. I feel like this what's the best way to put it? Their defensive game plan was solid. K-State obviously did not score a lot of points in this either. 61 points below their average scoring margin by a lot, of course. And I think the biggest way that they did that is that they kept Yoki from getting deep underneath the basket. We've watched her work for years. We know the type of time she's on. We know what position that she likes to be in. When she's deep under the basket and she catches it with a great pass from Serena, she keeps it high above her head and she's able to lay it in, right? That's been her bread and butter essentially for her entire career, right? But it seems like every single time that she got the ball, she was not underneath the basket. She was not in her usual range. She'd have to take some tough fadeaway jumpers. She didn't take a lot. I think she might have taken like 3, maybe made 1 of them. They were making it very difficult. Maybe can't underestimate the strength of Raya Marshall, right? Just to keep her from getting deep into the lane for her to be able to catch, turn around, and have an easy bucket. That's for the majority, sometimes half the K-State offense right there, right? They have her kind of setting screens up top, which USC is more than happy to oblige to get more bodies around the perimeter, keep Yoki out of the lane, right? That's what it was. You had Yoki catching the ball sometimes at the elbows of the free throw line. She's not going to do anything there. She hasn't really for good portion of her career, right? They just did not let her get deep. This strength they had to keep her from getting position like she normally would. That's why I think that they only held her to 12 points in this game. Because 12 points, that's not a lot for Yoki in the amount of minutes that she was able to play in this game for her being one of the healthiest parts of the season that she's experienced, right? And half her shots to me were difficult. They were not easy buckets for her for the most part, right? I feel like there might have been only 2-3 moments where she's had a really good look at the basket where it didn't need to be a tough finish, you know? She didn't have it offensively like we have seen her before, and that's literally all credit to USC of what they were able to do to keep her from being close enough to the basket, right? Giving a lot of space. That's the one thing. That's one of the main things, right? Tamyra, it's hard to follow up that performance against Kentucky. 8 3-pointers. I think all of her shots in this game, for the most part, came from the 3-point line. I don't want to lie to y'all, so let me double check that real quick for you. She was 2 of 9 from the field. All but one of her shots were from beyond the 3-point line, trying to recreate that match. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have. What she mentioned before in several interviews after that game against Kentucky is that when she wasn't hitting, she considered to, just stop shooting, right? And her teammates did not let her. She just kept shooting, and that's what came out of it. So her still shooting in this game, not going to fault her for that whatsoever at all. When you are constantly being encouraged by your teammates and you know the type of points and percentage that you can produce from beyond the 3-point line, you shoot, and that's what you're supposed to do. It just didn't have that same sort of, flamethrower energy that we have seen the previous game, but she kept on shooting. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists overall in this game. It sucks. If she would have made at least one more 3-pointer, that would have been great, because K-State still had that opportunity late in the game. She had a wide open 3. I think it was like under 2 minutes left. They might have been down by 5. We've seen them come back with less time than that against Kentucky, still have the opportunity, and it just didn't fall. It just didn't fall. Something that can be talked about in this game, particularly because I talked about all first half of this show that K-State had a chance. It was just poor in-game execution. Now, it's always coulda, woulda, shoulda in games that you don't win and it's close. People have talked about, oh, Mitty is horrible when it comes to close games. I mean, one, K-State hasn't had a lot of close games this season. When they've won, and when they've lost, right? But I mean, you have a close game against Kentucky, in-game execution, excellent. You had a close game against West Virginia in the Big 12 tournament, in-game execution, not great. You have a close game in overtime against Iowa State, in-game execution, very, very good, right? It's 50-50. It literally is. Not every time. It's not gonna go your way every single time. So everybody who's hooping and hollering about that, relax, okay? You can bring up other moments where they've had great in-game execution. This one, it just wasn't it. That's when I think the nerves maybe got them a little bit more. They didn't start the game very well in the first quarter. They settled in more when things got tight in the end. That's when I feel like they were making a little bit more mistakes. On the unfortunate foul that Tamira committed when Coach Mitty was yelling not to foul, sending, I think, Avery Howell to the free throw line to make it a 5-point game. I think a 5-point game at that point in time. It's tough. It was tough, right? Since, like I've mentioned before, it goes your way. Sometimes it doesn't go your way. But in a nutshell, that was that game. They did their best. Serena in the rafters, Yoki already in the rafters with that 61-point banner hanging up, but her jersey, I think, should be retired and will be retired. These seniors left it better than they found it, and we should be very, very proud of them. And we are proud of them. We love them. We're gonna miss them. Now it's on to the next stage of their careers, right? Yoki's decision about if she wants to keep playing basketball. I feel like they kind of dropped that bombshell at the end of it, that she's already, of course, taking clients as, I think, a family therapist, and she doesn't really know about wanting to play basketball again because she just doesn't know how her body will perform, essentially, because she's been through so many injuries, and you hate that for her. So this may have been the last time she laces up a pair of sneakers, and that hurts. That really does hurt. But of course, professional options for Serena, Tamira, and maybe even Jalen Glenn. WNBA draft is April 14th, right? So that's this is not going to be the end, I think, of us seeing somebody from K-State play. And I just hope they get the opportunity, right? But now we've talked about the seniors and what they've done. Now I gotta look towards the future. You have Terrence Sides, you have Zina Walker. Probably going to be the primary ball handlers, I'm going to assume, for next year. And we love to see that, especially I talked about before briefly how Ziana ended her season with 9 points, 8 rebounds, playing excellent defense. I would like to see more offensively from her throughout the season, but she able to end this game like she did, coming up big like she did. I would love to see that carry over and be even better, especially beyond the 3-point line, right? Terrence Sides, we know what we've seen from her. Killer from the 3-point line. She didn't have the best overall tournament. She only had, I think, 14 games in that first round against Fairfield. Did not score against Kentucky or USC, which ended up hurting them in this game as they lost by 6 points, right? But lessons were learned, experience was gathered, and they're ready for next season, right? Hell of a recruiting class coming in. I'm so excited. Now they're young. I don't know how much playing time that they're going to be able to get, but I just talked about 2 freshmen from USC that came up clutch when they needed to. So opportunities are always going to be there, right? We have 5-star Jordan Spicer coming in, 6-foot guard. You have 3 4-stars coming in with Anaya Foy two 4-stars coming in with Anaya Foy and Brandy Harrod, who just committed yesterday, I do want to say, after decommitting from Auburn when their head coach got fired. Anaya Foy, 5'11", shooting guard, strong defender, lane splicer. That's what she's able to do. Brandy Harrod, 6'1", small forward, southpaw, lefty, be able to score in the paint. And of course, Jordan Spicer, 5-star sharpshooter, one of the best shooters in the country. I want to say a top 10 ranked player. She was playing in the McDonald's All-American game today. Didn't get a chance to watch because I was at work, but I'm sure she killed it. Probably opened a lot of eyes. And then you got an international player coming in from Spain, Gina Garcia, 5'9" guard, fundamentally sound, be able to pass the ball. Didn't really find a whole lot on her because, international play, sometimes that's really hard to find, but you'll know them international players, what they're going to do. They're going to be fundamentally sound. Women's basketball is already hella fundamental. Now that's even more so when you have players that come from Europe, right? That's been their thing. They are fundamentally sound players over there, and they're able to share that to grace Americans' eyes, right? So it's really exciting who they have coming in. They're going to need some portal needs. Obviously, you need to find another athletic big that's going to be able to hold something down in the paint. Think you probably need another power forward come out of the transfer portal with more experience, someone who's ability to be a 3-level scorer, someone to add a little bit more defense. It's hard to find another Tamira Poindexter. It's hard to find any one of these players that we're losing, right? But you got to do the best you can and try to be able to catch up with the times, because I think Coach Mitty, he learns from every season that ends as well, and how close he can get in the time and the type of teams that his team played and who he sees continuing on in tournaments and winning all these games. You need to catch up, and the transfer portal is giving you the opportunity to do so, right? We've seen TCU and how they've been able to turn everything around in their school history from the transfer portal. Not saying we've got to clear house and try to get everybody in. We've seen how that does not work sometimes. We've seen that personally with K-State men's team, but the opportunity is always there to get something going and to get deep in the tournament every single season. The opportunity is always there. But with that all being said, I appreciate y'all for sticking with me this entire season for K-State women's basketball. I appreciate you, all the haters too. I love y'all too. I know y'all probably watch it again. I hope so. But I appreciate you for watching, for sticking it out with me. And I'm going to see y'all next year for K-State women's basketball. We'll be back on Run It Back when I see y'all. Okay.